Hello and welcome back to this second lecture video on basics in analytical chemistry. In this video we'll be discussing about errors, the sources of error, classification of errors. We have seen in the last video that if your result is not accurate, there is some error in the analysis. Now, what is the meaning of this error? An error is defined as the numerical difference between the measured value and the true value. Now, we have seen that whenever we carry out any analysis, sometimes our reported value does not match with the true value. Just to remind you that true value is nothing but the accepted true value. So when it doesn't match with the accepted true value, we say that our readings are erroneous. Now, what are the reasons for which your experiment can show errors? Now, errors which affect an experimental result or set of measurements are basically classified into following types. So the errors are gross or careless or erratic errors. It could be systematic or determinate error, or it could be indeterminate or random error. Systematic error is further classified as instrumental or reagent error, methodic error, operative error, and personal error. Some examples of gross careless errors are mentioned over here. Now, gross careless or erratic errors is very difficult to trace. These are the mistakes that are not likely to be repeated in similar determination, and usually it could be because of one of these reasons: spilling a portion of the sample, fluctuations in the balance room, failure to execute some essential steps in the procedure. That means if your procedure has number of steps and if you forget to do or carry out a particular step, it may lead to an error. You will notice it only when you're doing it repeatedly. So it's very difficult. It may not happen every time. It may just happen once and you will never figure out why it went wrong. Reading the wrong volume of liquid in a burette. Decimal point is misplaced in the recording of weight. Generally, when you go to weigh something in a balance room, you're expected to carry a book to note down the weight of the object. But it may happen that you don't carry your book, and when you come back to the lab, you note down your weight, you try to recollect what was the weight, and it may happen that your decimal point has shifted. So instead of writing down as 0.365, you have written it as 0.0365. That's a very major mistake. So this type of error is suspected when a series of careful measurements contain one result. So as we discussed already, it may not happen in all the reading. It may just happen that one of the reading will show some deviation. So one result that differs markedly from the other. So it can be only traced by repeating the experiment. That's the reason generally when you're doing any volumetric analysis, we tell you that please go on taking the reading till you get constant reading. Don't stop at first reading or second reading. Now we'll come back to this slide a little later. First we'll try to see the sources of determinate error. Now determinate error or systematic error, as the name says, it is possible to figure out from where the error is coming. Although you cannot totally remove, but you can definitely minimize the error coming from determinate source. So determinate error falls, or rather there are 4 different sources from which it can come. First one, instrumental error and reagent error. Now these errors are primarily due to inaccuracy on the part of the instrument, equipment, glassware, and impurities in the chemicals used. So these are some of the examples of instrumental error. If your glassware that you're using is not calibrated, for example, if you're using a 10 ml pipette, but suppose that 10 ml pipette is not delivering 10 ml, it is delivering more than 10 ml or less than 10 ml, then that glassware is uncalibrated. So you're supposed to be using a calibrated glassware. So it can come from uncalibrated glassware. So if you're not using branded glasswares, there is a possibility that your glassware may be uncalibrated. Balances. When you're using balances, it is supposed to show 0 in the beginning, but suppose by default it is not showing 0, then you have to make sure that note down the initial weight on the balance and then accordingly add or subtract the weight depending on whatever is the final weight. If the pointer is showing after 0, so pointer is on 1, that means when you're weighing say 5 grams, it is not actually 5 grams, you have actually weighed only 4 grams. So you have to weigh 1 more gram. So balances, if they are not calibrated and if you are not aware that they are not calibrated, can also lead to an error. Also, if there is 0 error problem, it can lead to an error. Failure to establish 0 reading, that is what I was telling you about. The balance is not showing 0, but it is more than 0. Impurities in the reagent. We always give you highly pure compounds. Highly pure in the sense, not 100%, 99.99. But it may happen that if you're using a particular chemical bottle for very long time, there is a possibility of contamination. And if you use that chemical which is impure, it can lead to an error. Loss of weight of platinum crucible when strongly heated. Any crucible, it is generally used for gravimetry. So crucibles when heated, you don't expect the weight of the crucible to fall down. But it may happen that because of overheating, the crucible may also lose some weight. So one needs to be careful. And these type of errors you will figure out only when you are doing analysis with some other method. You are getting a different answer, then you start suspecting that there may be something wrong with the instrument or there may be something wrong with the method. It can be because of the method also. So let us see what examples are there under methodical error. These errors are inherent in a quantitative measurement and are most serious errors faced in the analysis. Some of the examples are in gravimetric analysis, errors arise owing to the solubility of the precipitate. Now, these type of gravimetric analysis experiments are there in your SY curriculum, where you precipitate out your product and then you filter your product and give washings and then finally dry your product and weigh. So when you're filtering your product, you don't expect your product to dissolve. But it may happen that some of the product may get dissolved in the solvent that you're using for washing. In that case, the weight of the product that you will report will be definitely lesser than what is expected. So this has come from the method itself, it is not your fault. Presence of side reaction. So you expect A plus B to give you C, but sometimes A plus B can give you C plus D. Again, it is the error in the method. Hygroscopic nature of weighing substances. Some of the substances have a tendency to absorb moisture. So when you weigh those compounds, obviously the amount taken will be less than the actual amount because some amount of water will be inherently there in those compounds. So when you're using hygroscopic compounds, you have to be careful. Difference between the observed endpoint and stoichiometric endpoint. I have explained you this in my regular lecture, so I'm not going to waste much time on explaining this again. Let us go to the next one, that is operational error. Now these errors are due to the analyst. That means if your analyst is not trained properly, it can lead to operational error. Mechanical loss of material in various steps of analysis. Suppose you have an experiment which is a multi-step experiment. You are not careful and you may lose your substance in the process of transferring from one container into another container. Weighing of hot crucibles. We always tell you whenever you do gravimetric analysis, do not weigh hot crucibles. But you are always in a hurry to weigh and then you end up weighing hot crucibles. Your balances are not meant to be used for weighing hot objects. Blowing the last drop in the nozzle of the pipette. Now pipettes are meant to deliver the specified amount, 10 ml, 25 ml, whatever mentioned on the pipette, freely without any force or jerk. So whatever one drop remains after you have transferred the entire aliquot, that one drop is always extra. Do not try to take out that one drop. Use of reagents containing harmful impurities. This is in spite of you knowing that the chemical that you are using is not highly pure, you still continue to use it. Then it can lead to an error. All these errors can be minimized by training a person. So if you're trained properly, the chances of you committing any of these mistakes are very few. The next one is personal error. Personal error contributes to a high percentage among all types of errors. They result from subjective judgment on the part of the observer. Now, for example, prejudice or bias. That means if you're doing a titration, you get some readings. So you get reading like 10.3. And the entire batch or entire class is doing same experiment. And you ask your friend, how much reading did you get? And she also says that, oh, 10.3. You have got 10.3. Your friend has got 10.3. So the first reading that you get, we always have so much of faith in the first reading that we try to force the second reading to match with the first reading. And if your friend has got same reading, that means that's 100% guarantee that you are also getting the same answer. So without doing, you may just report the answer. That is called as prejudice or bias. That means showing favorism to a particular reading without having any knowledge about what the answer should be. So you try to favor a particular reading, or you're in favor of a particular reading. So first reading is generally a highly favored reading. We try to match the second reading with first reading. And third reading is friend has got same reading, so that becomes your third reading. Manipulative error by the analysis. This normally we do when we don't know how to carry out the experiment. Especially when you're doing graph, you try to manipulate so that all the points fall on the graph. That also can lead to a lot of error because you have no idea what the answer should be. Then another example under personal errors is poor color perception or color blindness. This is something which is a physical limitation of the analyst, and if a student is having color blindness, he or she should report it to the teacher so that the teacher should not give her or him any experiment which is based on indicator or color judgment like titration. Such experiment should not be given to the student having a physical limitation like color blindness. Okay, so I hope you have understood what are the different errors, what are the sources of errors, and what are the examples of these errors. Now, it is possible to minimize these errors. So in the next video, we'll see how to minimize these errors.